We are following breaking news on a major Portland roadway. Police have reopened I-5 after they briefly shut it down in both directions between Alberta and Failing, following the report of a suspicious device. Details are limited right now. Portland police reported that the closure happened at about 10 o'clock tonight and said the Metropolitan Explosive Disposal Unit responded. We will keep you posted with any further developments. We are also following breaking news from South Portland, where federal authorities clashed with protesters outside of the ICE building tonight. This was a scene before Portland police formally declared a riot before 6 o'clock this evening. You can see ICE agents were using flashbangs and shooting pepper balls in an attempt to disperse the crowd. John Adams joins us with the latest from the newsroom. John, you went by that facility not all that long ago.
Art, that's right. We circled by the facility within the past hour, and there were still many people milling around the area. But according to Portland police, the situation has stabilized since the chaos we saw earlier this afternoon.
This is video from earlier this evening. You can see protesters circling the ICE facility, holding signs and flags. Some of the protesters broke the glass on the doors of the building before tear gas and pepper balls were deployed, causing the crowd to retreat. Agents then set up a perimeter around the entrance of the facility. This is viewer video we received earlier this evening. This man saying he was hit in the eye with a rubber bullet while at the protest. We are also seeing these images from the Associated Press that show federal agents detaining and clashing with protesters while tear gas hangs in the air. Portland police declared this gathering a riot earlier this evening, telling the crowd to disperse immediately. PPB later posted on X that officers had observed criminal activity, including assault and criminal mischief. We have learned at least one person has been arrested by PPB for assaulting a peace officer. PPB was also made aware that one federal officer was injured during the clash, but that officer did not require medical treatment.
Well, smaller protests have been going on outside the ICE facility for the better part of a week. There have been flare-ups on certain nights, with agents driving away protesters with flashbangs and tear gas on Tuesday night. Multiple people were arrested as protests escalated on Thursday night. But as of right now, things seem to be peaceful outside the facility. Art?
Thank you, John. Today, the nation saw no Kings demonstrations in protest of the Trump administration. 5051 Portland said that there were more than 20 organized here in Oregon, and that includes Seaside as well as Canby. Viewers have been sending us photos and videos from the protests and telling us things have remained peaceful. Check out this photo that highlights the fact that demonstrations are happening even in small communities. This was taken in Heppner, an eastern Oregon town with a population of about 1,400 people. These protests also happened in Vancouver, Salem, Beaverton, with recent ICE raids and arrests being on the top of people's minds. Celine Stevens attended two different rallies to speak to protesters.
It's really horrible, like they're tearing families apart.
It's just the cruelty, the inhumanity.
No Kings rallies took place all over the country Saturday, a national day of action in response to the Trump administration's immigration policies.
Show me what democracy looks like.
And what protesters describe as recent injustices and atrocities.
And they're just like grabbing people out of their cars or out of work and just catching them off guard. And it's scary.
They're just trying to support their family and be safe, and they don't get any of the benefits of contributing to our financial and economic system.
Recent immigration arrests like what's been seen in Portland and larger raids that have led to protests in places like Los Angeles that's involved deploying the National Guard and Marines in response are top of mind for many.
ICE has always been there. That's something that community has always dealt with. It's the fact and the way they did it. It just hurts so much to see like my hometown community going through that struggle.
People are just here with their families trying to get their voices heard.
The White House justifying their decision.
He supports the First Amendment, but that is not the majority of the behavior that we have seen taking place in Los Angeles. These illegal criminals were throwing rocks at our Border Patrol and ICE agents.
Portland saw thousands come out to march with people passionately sharing their messages.
I don't think anybody in the Congress, certainly him, could pass a test that the immigrants have to take to become citizens. I don't think they know anything about the Constitution.
What I see now is people's constitutional rights being stomped on.
I am Latina, so I think it's the only thing that I could do right now is just show up.
The importance of standing together was a common theme at the rallies and an ask for everyone to be treated equally.
There weren't papers when, the pilgrims came here, so I don't know why, especially like when someone's brown, like why they had to be targeted for that.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Just before 5:30 tonight, Portland police confirmed that there were no arrests made following the main demonstrations downtown, and it proceeded safely thanks in part to the collaboration between organizers, protesters, and the police bureau. New tonight, while not one of the largest or loudest rallies we saw today, people at a local assisted living facility wanted to make sure their voices and frustrations were heard. They came from Cedar-Sinai Park and held a demonstration at Southwest 62nd Avenue and Beaverton Hillsdale Highway. One woman we spoke to says that she has been protesting since the 60s.
We were always active, but who knew that this would happen? Here we are, we're at a different time, but our people are very concerned, and this is something we can do.
She also encouraged other people to do their part and get involved in future demonstrations. All this as we saw a show of force in the nation's capital today, military hardware, including tanks, choppers, and fighter jets, honoring the 250th anniversary of the Army. That celebration framed by protests in D.C. and across the country as immigration roundups continue in several states. Jay Gray has details from Washington.
Close to 7,000 men and women in uniform marching through the center of Washington. Soldiers representing every era of the Army. 250 years of history. As hundreds of thousands line Constitution Avenue cheering them on. Fighter jets and choppers overhead.
When you see those jets fly over, anybody watching, just keep watching because it's going to be a good night.
Tanks, Humvees, and howitzers rolling past the viewing platform, President Trump standing to salute. A show of military might he's been pushing for since his first administration, playing out on his 79th birthday.
The Army keeps us free, you make us strong, and tonight you have made all Americans very proud. Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too. That's what we're doing tonight.
And as everything unfolds in the National Mall and along Constitution Avenue here, this party is being met by protests, not only here in the nation's capital, but across the country. The Refuse Fascism Coalition spilling into the streets of D.C. No Kings rallies, with tens of thousands raising their voices. In all 50 states, speaking out against the president and his policies, including the ongoing immigration raids.
Listen to the people. We're not happy. All of us, and it's not right or left, it's wrong or right.
Frustration sparking outrage as sparking fireworks filled the sky over the nation's capital. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
A manhunt is underway in Minnesota right now after a state lawmaker and her spouse were killed and a second lawmaker and his spouse were hurt in two separate shootings today. Authorities have identified the suspect as 57-year-old Vance Bolter. They say that he impersonated law enforcement to gain access to the legislators' homes to commit what they call politically motivated shootings. State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were taken to the hospital with injuries. Authorities are asking for any help in locating Bolter.
It was noted that we believe he's was still in at this time. He was in the Twin Cities area, and that we are continuing to work and follow up on that. We believe he's working to potentially flee the area, and so that's why we're sharing that with that information now so that we can safely apprehend him.
Minnesota State Patrol and Governor Tim Walz are asking people not to participate in No Kings protests because of the shooting. Organizers said that all events were canceled in Minnesota that were not already underway. Governor Tina Kotek released a statement saying her heart goes out to all of Minnesota and that this attack, quote, demands that we all recommit ourselves to peaceful discourse and reject violence. Back in our area, Southeast Division Street is back open following a deadly head-on crash. It happened at the intersection of Southeast 119th Avenue just before 5 o'clock this evening. When officers got there, they found one person dead at the scene. Another person was taken to the hospital. Their condition is not known at this time. Southeast of Salem, a teenager is dead and 3 other teens were hurt after a crash early this morning. At this point, the Lynn County Sheriff's Office believes the 4 were in a truck that was going down Middle Ridge Drive when they missed a turn and hit a tree. One of the teens was ejected and died at the scene. The others were taken to area hospitals. The Sheriff's Office says this is the 3rd deadly crash that it has handled in the past 6 days. Crews at the site of the Rowena fire near the Dalles made some steady progress today. While the wildfire is still just 5% contained, the State Fire Marshal's office says that the threat to homes has now decreased. Officials say that 49 homes have been destroyed so far. I-84 does remain open, but drivers are advised to be aware of crews working near the roadway. Here's a look at the evacuation map from the area. Now, some areas, like the Dalles Country Club, have been downgraded from level 3, go now, to level 2. The club was allowed to reopen for business today. Now, that fire has been burning out of control for the last 4 days. So we're going to check in now with meteorologist Joe Ranieri with what crews will be dealing with. Joe?
Hey there. We're going to be looking at some windy conditions here the next couple of hours, but once we get into the early morning hours, those winds will kind of subside a little bit, really after midnight. Lighter winds for tomorrow, at least for the first portion of your Sunday. But again, the gusts will pick up by the later part of the afternoon, anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour. And going into Monday, the winds pick up again. So the winds are going to be in the forecast over the next few days. You can see on this map here, gusts will be anywhere from about 18 to about 16 miles an hour and very light tomorrow morning. So hopefully crews can kind of get a jump on those flames for the first part of Sunday. But again, you can see Hood River east tomorrow. Throughout the afternoon, you'll start to see those gusts pick up a little bit, and they die down tomorrow night, and then they pick up again heading into Monday, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles an hour by the later part of the afternoon. And as we kind of look at your Father's Day forecast for tomorrow, you're going to be waking up to a lot of sunshine. Temperatures will be a little bit on the crisp side, upper 40s to the low 50s by late morning, 60 degrees. On our way to a high of almost 80 degrees. And yeah, we don't have any big warm-ups in the forecast, but I can tell you it's going to be a very comfortable end to spring. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, we like to hear that. Thank you, Joe. Crews made some unexpected rescues while they were working the fires. In 2 separate incidents, they rescued orphaned deers from the flames. One of them wandered off after it was cleaned with some water. The other was taken to a local animal hospital where vets do expect a full recovery.